You know what's funny? When I was catering, Spike Lee was at an event, and I was... Catering is the most fucking demeaning thing in the world. Right. I had to quit because I'd go like to events and be serving and shit, and there'd be like comics I know at it. I'm like, I'd walk out, I'd quit. I'd be I can't fucking do this. But one time Spike Lee was there, and this is a weird fucking aside, but that motherfucker ate 25 quail eggs off my fucking tray. It was like, no, where are you going, young man? And he just like kept eating quail eggs. I'm like, who the fuck eats quail eggs? I never even knew they existed.
No, you want me of John Savage. Yeah, that gotta be. How small was he? He's probably a little guy.
Yeah, he's a tiny guy.
Yeah, he's probably like 5 foot.
He had a beef with Michael Rappaport recently.
Yeah,
he had a beef with Michael Rappaport. Why?
Because he was speaking out against gentrification, and Mike Rappaport said he thinks gentrification is good because Williamsburg was a piece of shit until they fixed it up. And then he's like, wait, what is Spike Lee talking about? He lives on the Upper East Side. What does he care about Brooklyn?
Right. There's some phony shit with that. Like, also, let's get into gentrification for a second. Like, if the whole thing with America is to own, right? Like, if you owned your apartment, you'd be fucking a millionaire. So gentrification would be good for you. But too many people are just like renting and stuff like that. You can't rent for your whole life, right?
Are you pro gentrification?
No, I'm neither. I'm just like, it's like.
Well, it's weird that a lot of these, I would say, upper class white people from the Midwest, are they upper class? Would you consider them upper class or middle class? I don't really know.
They're upper class, completely.
And they're the ones who are like pro like equality, and they're just kicking these poor black people out of their apartments. Like I always found that weird.
Well, also it's the landlords are the ones who are like seeing dollar signs and they're kicking people.
I'll tell you one thing. I got a buddy who's a hipster, and he's his landlord's a Puerto Rican, and the Puerto Rican is charging him up the wazoo. And good for that fucking guy. You know, good for him.
Yeah, good. The Puerto Rican owns the fucking building. Good for him. But like it is funny, and like this is almost like it's like unsaid hack. But yeah, the people who are gentrifying are the ones that are complaining about gentrification. They're like, it's bad. It's like, no, motherfucker, you're gentrifying. You're moving to a fucking war zone, which is Bushwick, from fucking Illinois or wherever the fuck you're from, because you want to be cool and put on Facebook that I live in Brooklyn, New York City. You're a fucking loser.
I'm an artist. I live in Brooklyn.
Right.
I shop at a bodega. You know?
Yeah. It's like they're the ones that are the issue.
I hate when comedians, or like if I hear someone who's not born and raised in New York, they're like, "You're not a real New Yorker if you have never taken the subway to work or anything like that."
Yeah,
and it's like, well, I think you're talking out of your ass. Like you're like, what are you talking? Like
that's also one thing. I will never call myself a New Yorker. I'll live in New York for the rest of my life.
You're from Philly, so it's not like a whole.
But I'm just saying, it's like I'm not
different.
I'm not fucking from like. There's very few New Yorkers. There's fucking Frank. There's you two. There's like very few. Chris Herkey, is that his name? Yeah. There's them. It's like they are New Yorkers. I'm a fucking guy who came here and lived here a long time.
But also, being from Philly, there is an identity to that. Being from like Wyoming, there's no identity. Who gives a fuck about Wyoming?
What's the
I hate when people call themselves Brooklyn comics.
But I love calling them Brooklyn comics to demean them.
I never thought Brooklyn would be known as a place where there's people that aren't cool.
That's gotta be amazing.
When I was growing up, Brooklyn was known as where the tough guys were. Now it's where the pussies are.
It's true.
Now you say people go back to Brooklyn, you fucking pussy.
Because it's
amazing. Like fucking, I remember like like being a kid and like just being like if a kid moved into my neighborhood and he was from Brooklyn, he automatically became the toughest guy in the neighborhood. Now, if you come from Brooklyn,
that's the toughest transgender. It's true because you grew up in Brooklyn your entire life. There's no one more Brooklyn than Frank Terranova.
You know what it says on my Instagram? The only real Brooklyn comic.
Yeah, and you see, because in the '90s, Brooklyn was known for Bensonhurst and Bay Ridge and Dyker High, like that whole section. Yeah. That's the only thing I knew, and the Russians down in fucking Sheepshead, whatever. Brighton Beach, and the other side of Brooklyn, South Brooklyn, still because Court Street was still very Italian.
Yeah.
Right, and then there was Church Avenue down there, and that was all blacks. So it was still fucking tough. It was like, because you had the gangs and you had like, these Italian kids. And now, Sunset Park's all Chinese, right? Yeah.
Well, that's kind of...
Yeah. Well, as you wear your Chinese shirt there.
Japanese,
whatever. But now it's all. But it's so amazing because you see and you've seen it basically go to where it's gone now, where it's basically all like white hipsters and people just walking around.
We need to house these graphic designers.
Yeah, it's just.
Frank, has anybody? Is there any comic in New York who's lived in New York longer than you?
No. Dave Lester? No, I'm older than him. Dude,
Frank's a fucking relic. He's like the when you go in the Matrix and you go see the who's the person you go to the Oracle. Frank's like the Oracle. He's seen fucking everything in New York City.
Almost 52 years.
That's fucking insane.
Where's Mike Kramer from?
Brooklyn.
He's from Brooklyn.
So he might be a little.
But where's he live now?
I think Brooklyn.